Welcome to the podcast Listen to Unlearn. Proudly sponsored by Gladwell Academy, your Agile transformation partner. Please join us in welcoming our host for today.
And hello, everyone. The host for this today's podcast session, it's me, Eduardo Alvim, Uncle Eduardo, as many people call me. And it's a pleasure to be here with you for this new podcast session. And especially because we are broadcasting today from the RTE Summit 2023, the 8th edition of that. And we are heading up to the end of the first day, and so far, very nice discussions, great exchanges, a lot of knowledge sharing as well. And also, it's really nice because I have here with me a seasoned RTE that is playing the RTE role in a public sector, which makes it even more fun or challenging, if I can say that. And we are going to talk about a very important subject today, that is relentless improvement, when we are going to talk about inspect and adapt. But with no further ado, thank you very much for accepting this invitation, Gerben. And I'm going to let you introduce yourself. So who are you?
Thank you, Eduardo. So my name is Gerben Collaert. I'm an RTE at the Dutch Tax Administration for about 1 year. Before that, I've been an RTE at Achmea. It's a financial services company. But I've been working with SAFe framework as a Scrum Master and RTE for more than 10 years. So that's it.
A lot of time.
Yeah, I was quite an early adapter, I think, if you're talking about SAFe. And,
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you just mentioned, I'm sorry, I'm just going to start like this, and then we'll see where we are going to end up. So you just said yourself that you were working on banking services. Is that correct?
The financial
services, sorry.
Achmea was
Achmea financial, yeah.
insurance company.
Yeah, financial services. And then you moved to the public sector. So what are the differences or similarities from them both that you have learned?
Well, there are a lot of differences. The Dutch tax administration is very influenced by politics.
Yeah.
So you notice a lot of decision making in the top of the company. And at Achmea, it was a little bit more of, how do you say it, commercial. So that's one of the main big differences.
That is an interesting thing. So you have played the RTE role on these two environments.
Yes.
How difficult is to be an RTE in this kind of environments? One that is more business driven, you've mentioned, and the other one that has all the components of politics and everything.
Yeah, it's very challenging. It's for me, the challenge is to make the train work as good as you can with the politics, with the changing portfolio. I think that's you have to really I don't know how you say it, accept that you won't be able to change everything. You will be gladly doing the change, but you're not able to. It's too much, and you have to make your train work in that environment. And I think that's really challenging.
But that's also what makes fun the RTE role, right?
Exactly. Yes, very fun. So it's challenging and it makes it fun. So that's why I go to work every day.
Well, that is a very good reason indeed.
Yeah.
So let me ask you something, because being the RTE in an organization is not a trivial role, far from that. And being in an RTE role that has as one of the main objectives to help the art to become better and better, to help the organization to become better and better, is not at all a simple task. So, what are you busy with these days? In the sense of helping your train, in the sense of helping your organization. But before going there, this is my question for you. Can you describe a little bit the environment, the context that you are working right now? For instance, it's a
Yes.
public sector. So
Yeah.
what does that mean?
So my train is aimed on the car taxes. So we make the software for all the car taxes, and you've got two kind of car taxes. There's one when you buy the car, and
Yeah.
one to drive the car on the road. So basically, that's the software my train is developing. And what was the question again?
No, that's okay. So here in the Netherlands, when you buy a car,
Yes.
you have to pay taxes.
Yes.
So they are going. People they use one way or another the system that you guys are creating. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, what have you been busy with these days to ensure that you have a great product, for instance, that the users they like it, and it fulfills its objective, for instance?
Yeah, so when I joined the Dutch tax administration a year ago, there was not really a train organization. They were just having a department and they called it a train.
Okay.
And they didn't organize around value. They just had the silos of the design, build, test, deployment. They were still silos. So for me, the first focus was to break that silos, and it's still an ongoing process at the moment. That's, I think, the biggest change. There was also not a cadence on which we had the same sprints, the same PI events. So that were things I changed immediately when I started. Now we're looking further, and we are looking at all right. How do we make the roll up from user story to feature to epic to business strategic teams? So we're really engaging with the portfolio at the moment, trying to change that.
Where did you start from?
Where we did I start from? So I first started with a PI event in which it was still separated value streams. We had a value stream about the driving the car on the road, and the value stream driving of when you buy the car.
Yeah.
And we just started with a common PI event together, and that was really weird because they thought, oh, we don't talk to each other. And that was for me the kickoff, and there were still another RTE, and there was a team manager organizing the PI event. That was for me the starting point to change and to make it one train. Which is still a topic of discussion for some people.
Yeah.
Because of they don't see the connection between the teams. And I see a lot of things that are the same technology, the same goals, the same problems, and there's a very big opportunity to learn from each other. So that's a continuous process right now.
Okay, so if I understood well, let me know if I got it right. You have started from a situation that was not the most optimal one. You had a complex environment, and especially when we talk about public sector as well, there is a lot of different discussions as well that are ongoing, and sometimes because of the force of the legislation, we have to go this way instead of that other way. So this also represents a different challenge as well, or adds to the challenge that you currently have. And you had different value streams, and your first PI planning felt a little bit
strange, weird,
Your words, not mine.
uncomfortable.
That is an interesting thing. So I recognize that, and I see many companies going the same direction. In fact, the thing is, and truth to be said, it's not every time that we have the right conditions or the
No.
minimum conditions to start. Right? I don't know if that is your experience, but in my experience, it's likely never that we are going to have the perfect situation or the ideal conditions to start something. But you did. You started.
Yes.
And what happened after?
A lot of resistance, of course.
Yeah.
But that's normal, I think. Every change has its own resistance, has its own things people don't like.
Mhm.
People always like to do things they're used to. And if you change that, then you will always have people opposing the change. So after the first PI event, we started to discuss, all right, why are we one train? Why does everybody needs to do the PI event at the same time? Why do we even do an inspect and adapt? Everything I changed was open for discussion. And I tried to explain to them we can learn from each other. We can do things together where that's useful. If it's not useful to do it together, then we won't do it. And that's almost a culture change for some of the teams. And that takes a lot of time.
And effort from your side. And a lot of effort,
yes,
resilience from your side as well.
And sometimes that's frustrating, but
Yeah.
we do have the right management buy-in to support this change. And then it's, for me, key to also do the change from the bottom up instead of this is what the management told me to do.
Yes.
And that's, I think, key for making the successful change.
And let me ask you another question, because when we talk, you've mentioned your context. You described to us a little bit how it works and some of the challenges that you've initially faced. For instance, you've talked about people and resistance to change and so on and so forth. Let me ask you a question to you, Gerben. Because we were just talking to, I was just having or hosting other sessions with other participants as well, and one of the words that I hear over and over again is resilience. So RTEs, they need to be resilient, and they need to be able to keep on moving, even if the situation is not the most optimal, I would say.
Yes. Keep giving energy.
Keep giving energy and keeping people motivated. So what you think is or are your drivers, in fact, when playing this role of RTE?
I thought you were going to ask me what's wrong with you. My drivers, for me, it's why I went to work for the Dutch tax administration is I want to make a change. I want to be challenged. And working at Achmea was also very great, but it was, I was there 10 years. And after 10 years, I just thought, all right, if I'm going to stay here much more longer, I will be here forever. And I didn't want that. So then I thought, I want to contribute something to the society. So I was looking at vacancies. And there was an RTE position at the Dutch tax administration. And then I thought, I can really make a change there. I've read all the things in the news about the Dutch tax administration being not so good at his software development. say it like that. So I thought I can really make a change there, and that's my big drive to do. So yeah,
To contribute.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah.
That is an interesting thing because in my experience and what I see, RTEs they are helping the companies with as well, is to find the reason, in fact, the why. Why are we doing this? Why are we going this way and not that other way? For instance, why is it important? And we were just talking with I was just talking with other participants as well, and we've mentioned many times as well that the RTE needs to dare to ask questions, because if you do not ask questions, you are going to have the status and the context and the processes and the way of work exactly like you have today. You are going to have exactly the same in a few years from now. So in this sense, it's also an RTE job to help to communicate
Yes.
and engage people and motivate people.
And ask why. Why are we doing this? Why are you always doing it like that? And why don't you try something else? Experiment. So the question why is a question I always use in almost every session I do. So why are we doing that? Why is there a reason for we're doing it in that particular way? So one of the first thing when I entered the Dutch tax administration was the inspect and adapt, and I asked, why isn't there any inspect and adapt planned? Because we have a PI event in about 3 weeks, and the answer was, well, the inspect and adapt, yeah, we were doing that when we have time left after the PI planning.
Whoa,
And I was
that's interesting.
I was completely confused. So I asked, but why? And they didn't really have an answer. And it's asking only the question why is so impactful in a lot of organizations. So yeah.
And here we have the music
Yeah, I hear
from the Back of the Future.
yeah.
Yes. So this is the theme for the RTE Summit 2023, Back to the Future. And when we hear this music, it's because the sessions, they are about to start, and everyone should move to their breakout rooms or to the sessions that they would like to attend to. And it's not different this time. So you were saying that you have asked the question about why we are not having inspect and adapt.
Yes.
And the fact was that there was no concrete reason for that, or they said, when we have time, we're going to make it happen.
Yeah, they didn't thought it was useful. They didn't wanted to make time for it.
So how did you change the perspective of the organization, of the people in leadership, in fact, about that? Because that's not a trivial change either.
No, so leadership was also very clear about it that, okay, yeah, we should do an inspect and adapt. Oh yeah, we were wrong, you were right, Gerbe, we're going to do that. So I just organized in front of the next PI an inspect and adapt, and I started just the inspect and adapt by explaining why the inspect and adapt was so important, why we should have a demo, why we should have metrics, the quantitative and qualitative measurement, why we should do a problem-solving workshop, and make our process better and better and better again. And well, the teams really responded well. So our inspect and adapt is even a little bit longer than the most inspect and adapts should be by the book.
How long are we talking about?
So 3/4 of a day.
3/4 of a day.
Yes.
But the question that I always ask myself, and I ask my RTEs to ask themselves as well, it's not necessarily about the duration. The question is it efficient and as effective as we need? Because otherwise you could just spend 30 minutes and it's highly inefficient, highly ineffective as well. So the same question I'm going to ask to you. 3/4 of your day, is it efficient? Is it effective? And is it producing the results that you expect as an RTE, for instance?
So, yes, the answer is yes, it is efficient, especially when you are not used to doing an inspect and adapt. So, next December, we have the next inspect and adapt, and then we're firstly going to try about a half day time box, and then we're going to experience how that is for the rest of the teams. By introducing it and making it a little bit bigger, we could do the steps really well. So that's why it's now still a little bit longer than by the book, but we're going to experience how it is to have a smaller time box and do it more efficiently.
Another question for you. Because I understand that you have been working with also Scaled Agile, and then you have been applying not just on your company now, but you also have applied it in the past as well. And are you still using the fishbone and the 5 whys technique for your inspect and adapt?
No.
And why not?
Why not? Well, of course, you have to understand the reason why you have to look at root causes, or why you have to use the 5 whys, or why you have to use the fishbone diagram. But if you do understand why you have to do that, then you also can make decisions. Is it right to do the root cause analysis? Andrew Sales told this morning, sometimes you want to put out the fire. And I thought, yeah, that's exactly what we have to do sometimes. So I always customize my inspect and adapt. So yes, you always have to do a demo. Yes, you always have to do the quantitative and qualitative measurement. And the problem-solving workshop, yes, you have to look for an improvement in the process. Yes, you have to make an improvement backlog item at the end. That are the basics you still have to do every time. But if you always do that, you have to make it fun for the teams. You have to do it like every time it's a little bit different. So one of the things we did was using a business drawing. And we asked the teams, all right, who is your customer? What is his problem? What is the root cause of that problem? And draw the solution. And by using business drawing, they immediately thought like, oh, right, this is way more fun than doing a problem-solving workshop.
It's different, yes. So can you repeat? Who's your customer?
Yeah, who's your customer? What is his problem?
What's the customer's problem?
Yeah, what's the root cause of his problem, and how can we solve it? And you get way different answers than if you have a normal retrospective and then you do the root cause analysis and then you're going to brainstorm about solutions. It was just one flow of making drawings and drawing your customer. And it were such nice results, and there was a lot of energy in the group because, after you've done 2 or 3 problem-solving workshops by the book, then you normally there's how do you say it? Some kind of anti-pattern that you're going to skip things and you're not going to do things.
And the people, they start knowing the rules of the game, and they are going to also start avoiding, bypassing, and so on. So it's important to keep their minds sharp as well. So so as they can play the games, right?
Yeah, and in my experience, the steps you still have to do, but sometimes you already have a good root analysis. And then you can put more effort on the solution. But you have to make decisions about that when you're designing your inspect and adapt.
That's a very interesting tip that you have just mentioned. So thanks for that. And I'm pretty sure that our audience will also like it. So I have other question for you in this sense, because uh, one thing is to discover or even to uncover these problems that are here, and they are creating issues in terms of communication, dependency management, stakeholder management, vendors management, and all of this sort of things that you can imagine, for instance. So one thing is how you're going to gather them, how you're going to collect them. Another thing is to take concrete steps towards their resolution or to solving these problems. And how are you guys doing this? How are you solving problems? And do you have any recipe for that as well?
Yeah, so, well, what you normally see is when you do the problem solving workshop, you're mainly going to have a triple diamond. So you're going to look at all the problems, you select one problem. You're going to look at the root cause, you restate your problem. And you're going to look for solutions, and you're going to choose one solution. So you have a triple diamond. For me, the problem searching you can do with a lot of different ways in retrospective form. It doesn't matter which retrospective you choose, as long as it's appropriate for your train, if it's inspiring, if it gives people energy. The root cause analysis is a little bit different. There are, of course, the 5 whys and the fishbone, and for me, it doesn't matter which method you use to look at the root cause analysis. And I can even just understand that you sometimes want to put out the fire instead of the root cause. And then you have to make a long-term action and a short-term action, if it's up to me. But for the solutions, you can do a lot of fun things. So one of the things I really saw working was one of the liberating structures, the 15% solution. So that's basically you always can do something about it yourself. So you have in your current position, in your current operating environment, you can make a real change, and that's for 15% always possible. So instead of having solutions like, oh, the management should hire more people, or yeah, we can't do that because I don't know what. People tend to put the solution outside of their own influence. So and with the 15% solutions, you have to do it yourself. So instead of asking the manager, you hire somebody to do the test. The solution was, oh, let's have somebody from the design team, and let's have somebody from there, and let them do the test. And then we can really make progress, and we have the flow back. Instead of we're going to wait till the management have decided to hire somebody. So that was really changing the mindset of people about searching the solutions in inspecting the depth. So that was one thing that worked.
That is great. That's absolutely great. And let me ask you another question, because again, in many cases, for instance, the RTEs, they are system thinkers. They have to think about their art, how they are going to help them to become better, to deliver more value, to be more engaged, and also, as we've mentioned just before, to help motivating and keeping the ball rolling. In fact, how do you, Gerben, how do you keep your ball rolling? And with that, I mean, how do you ensure that you are always learning, inspecting, and adapting?
For me personally,
Yes. And as an RTE.
one of the things is going to the RTE summit.
Thanks for that. It was not a sponsored advertisement.
No, so for me, it's Well, exactly like what I'm going to do tomorrow in the open space for the Inspect and Adapt, I will always challenge the events that I'm doing, thinking about why are we doing these events, what is the purpose of the events, and how can I do it better. So that's also why I'm so passionate about Inspect and Adapt, is because I think it's one of the events we can really improve. And if you have the purpose in mind of the Inspect and Adapt, then you can make it so much more fun for other people. And that's one of my drives. If you see something that you can do better, you can do it better every day a little bit. That's for me one of the key things.
That's an interesting thing because at Gladwell we say that one of our objectives is to help the people and organizations to become better than yesterday.
No.
And that's also why you've just mentioned, for instance, the RTE summit, but it's also one of the reasons why we host this kind of events, because it's about networking, it's about people talking to people, to actual people, in fact, that are facing problems every single day. And this is something that you've said just before. You were going to also propose in an open space. How does that work in real life? It's not like you can come with a recipe that is ready to be applied and it's one size fits all, and you can just start from Monday morning at 9, for instance, and apply everything. So building this knowledge also takes time.
Yeah.
Building these ideas that I don't know everything, and I need to talk to other people, I need to talk to other companies, I need to talk to other industries and sectors and markets and so on. This is also important for us as RTEs, right?
Yeah, definitely. And two things. First, you have to do a lot of experiments. So you won't get any experience if you don't try. So it's about what Joe Justice said this morning. Just try, just do something, experience it, and learn from it. So that's really important. And the for me, how do I say it? It's not. Sometimes you just have to dare. It's just to get out of your comfort zone. For me, the open space tomorrow is something I think is really cool. And I think I will learn a lot of it. But it's something just a little bit out of your comfort zone, and that's where the magic happens.
Is it the leap of faith?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah, it is.
And as in our personal lives, in our professional lives, it's exactly the same, right? And the RTE is someone that needs to be always inspiring the others to do the leap of faith,
Yes.
in fact, and try something new every day.
Try something new every day. That's great.
Can we brand this sentence?
I think we can.
Okay, so Gerben, we are moving towards the end, and I would like to, if you can, share 3 tips and tricks that you have, concrete advices to the other RTEs or change agents that are listening to this podcast session, for instance, that you would like to share with them to make to help making their lives easier. What would you say?
Oh, wow. That's
Just 3.
All
you
right.
don't need to give us 15 because I know that you could.
Yeah, I could, but I have to prioritize them very quickly in my head. So, but
Is this the first one?
no. Yeah, prioritize in your head, not in an open mind. So I just mentioned experiment every day, so you learn. The second one is continuous improvement, also of yourself. So that's do it a little bit better every day. And the third, I think, I also already mentioned, was the dare. So dare to do something, dare to do something out of your comfort zone. I think that are the 3 main things.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Herben, for having accepted the challenge to be the guest star of today's podcast session. I really appreciate. I like the conversation. I think you have shared a lot of tips and tricks from real life, which is really important for me, for others, for the listeners, for instance, the audience of this podcast. So thank you very much. I really enjoyed.
Thank you. Thank you for the invitation.
And with that said, so thank you very much, everyone, for listening this podcast session. Stay tuned for the next one. Thank you very much.